questions about, I'm trying to gather more information about that. Hey,
So a subject to is, we're buying the property, what we call subject to the existing mortgage, meaning the seller owns the property, we're gonna buy the property, but leave their mortgage on the property. So their mortgage stays on the property. So we're not, as buyers, we're not gonna go out and obtain any financing. And so we're gonna use their loan. And so if their loan, if it's behind, we're gonna bring it current. And then for the time that we have, that we're in the deal, we're gonna make the mortgage payments. And so we do that in a way that we make sure that the numbers still work for us. So we still run our formulas. And so we still make sure that the numbers work. But the advantage of doing that is you're only going through one settlement, right? So instead of buying a property, fixing it up, so buying a property, going to settlement, fixing it up, and then selling it, going through another settlement, you're gonna go under contract with the seller, and then when you fix up and sell it, that's just one settlement. So you're saving on settlement costs. There's a lot of costs when the numbers are tight, like Dana's saying, there's a number of costs that you're saving when you're doing a subject to.
as well as hard money costs.
And so in this market where it's hard to get financing, subject twos are very, very relevant now. And so we're seeing and doing a lot of subject twos. We're seeing and doing a lot of owner financing, just the owner holding financing, either as a first or as a second mortgage. And so we've got to get creative, and then we've got to learn how to do these type of investment strategies so that we can obtain these properties. And in a market like we're doing now, the market that we're in now, with the interest rates high, creative financing strategies are the way to go. Lease options, subject twos, owner financing, things like that is what we want to learn how to do so that we can save on costs and make the numbers work for us.
So, Dana, in your situation, how would you handle that subject to agreement?
How
Yeah,
I
what
would,
be the strategy?
or just basically, I'm asking telling the seller, it's going to be required that you we'll pay the mortgage until we finish the renovation, and then we'll go to settlement, and you get yours and we get ours and we're done. So to make it attractive, I would offer to pay that mortgage. Yeah.
You don't know how far in the arrears they are, right?
We see that exactly. See, because I don't feel like she could be, but I for some tell me she's not being upfront. Well, one, she's telling me it's 177 old on the mortgage, and in 2017 is when they said they purchased property. It sold for 158. So how do we get to 177? So that's one thing that's So, well, that's what I'm asking today.
So on a subject to, there has to be transparency.
Right.
And so you could not go into a subject to agreement unless you know what the mortgage balance is. And then the title company still has to run title, because you don't want to take over the mortgage and go under contract and there's liens on the property, judgments, things like that. And so all of those same things have to be done. And so you can't do it unless you do know what the mortgage balance is, you know how far in arrears they are, if they are in arrears. And so all those things you have to know. It's not like a guessing game.
So with that transparency, that client has to provide you that information, or is it
So they provide you a certain amount of information, and then you've got to go verify it. And so you'll verify, like you'll get the title company to get a payoff, and you'll get the title company to run title to make sure that there's no liens and judgments and things like that.
Okay.
So you're still going through a full-blown like settlement.
Right.
It's just that you're not going out getting new financing. You're going to leave that mortgage, but you got to do your due diligence to make sure that you don't get burned in the end.
Right.
So speaking to that, there's another investor in the picture. But the other investor, I found out, made them this great big offer, impossible offer that doesn't even make sense. It's not only is outside the mail form, it just doesn't make sense. So he's up to something, or that investor is up to something, and she feels it. So what that has done is put me in a better position because she's kind of fed up because he's changed. Now he's starting to change his numbers. So that promise he made, that pie in the sky promise, is starting to dwindle. So that's kind of pushing her towards me. But like Greg was saying, I need to see these documents to prove what you're telling me. You know, I need to see that. But she's telling me, okay, well, I said, well, if he's gonna give you that, then you better go with him because no other investor's gonna give you what you just quoted me.
Right.
And now she's coming back, well, my husband was just wondering how much would you offer? I said, well, it's a process. I can't just waste time. You know, if you're gonna sell this other investor, if we're gonna do business, we can do business. So it's a tug of war game right now. You know.
All right, any other questions you guys have before we get started?
Does a mortgage company, a mortgage have to be one that you can do a subject to? Are all mortgages ones that you can take over?
So the answer to that question is maybe. So in every mortgage, in every mortgage, there's what's called a due on sale clause, right? Which means that the lender can call the loan. Meaning, let's say it's a 30-year mortgage, we're in our 5th year of the mortgage. The lender at any point can say, the mortgage is due today. Not in 30 years, but it's due today. That's what calling a loan means. So at any point, they can call the loan. They can call the loan if they see that somebody else is taking over the mortgage. They can call the loan, right? Now, if someone is making mortgage payments, do you think that they're going to call the loan?
No. No.
Why not?
They're getting their money.
They're getting their money.
About money.
And so they can call the loan on a subject to, but they won't. Mortgage companies are in the business of lending money, right? They're not in the business of taking over properties, buying properties. They want to lend money. So as long as their mortgage payment is getting paid, that's all they care about.
So worst case scenario, what if they do call?
If they do call the loan, in many cases, what we do is we're basically on a subject to, it's advised to renovate the property and sell it. You have more than enough time.
Okay.
But that never happens. I mean, that's just a hypothetical. They will never, ever, as long as they're getting their money, they will never, ever. I've been doing this, so when I first got into the business, it was in a similar market that we're in now. And all the realtors really were doing subject to, they were calling them land installment contracts back then. I've never, ever heard of a lender calling the loan. There's no reason. They're getting what they want. So that'll never happen. But you have more than enough time. They don't want to foreclose on you. It's what, $60,000 to foreclose. And so they'll never do that. So it'll never happen. And so the advice is, when doing a subject to, my advice would be to renovate that property. I did one in Fort Washington not too long ago. And like I was in and out in 90 days and had the mortgage paid off, had the seller come to settlement to sign the documents because the way I did it, the house was still in their name. And we just got in and out. Now I have done them where I did a subject to and I held on to it for 2 years and I rented it out. Just a lot of cash flow. Was in Montgomery County and it worked out, but it was risky because I didn't, the seller could have gotten a judgment or whatever. So it's a great strategy, but it's more so of a short-term strategy. Any other questions, you guys? I want to introduce my esteemed guest, my panelist, starting over here. She tends to go by Beyonce. But we know her as Jay. Jay, Beyonce, introduce yourself.
I'm Jay Beyonce. What's up?
Okay,
And I'm on tour.
on tour.
What else do you want to know about me?
Give them a little bit of your investing experience.
Okay, so I'm Jay, everybody. Started out in the coaching program about a year ago. So a little bit about my background. I'm a real estate litigator attorney. So started my career in New York, moved back here for what's called a clerkship, and then COVID hit, and I was like, yeah, probably not about to move again. So I was talking to a neighbor of mine at the time, and I wanted to get into wholesaling. Always interested in real estate, but never really had like a formal mentor with like a structured program. Had mentors, but not anybody that was like a structured program, structured like coaching program. So she mentioned this program, spoke to Keith, spoke to Greg, and it's been magic ever since.
So in the last year, what have you done? What have you purchased? What kind of success have you had?
I purchased too many houses. That's what I've done. Because I'm a little baby that don't listen. So I'm a buy and hold girl. I need to be more of a wholesaler, but I'm a buy and hold girl. So I purchased my first property maybe 2 months after joining the coaching program. So we as coaching students have what's called a shadow event. So my first shadow event was Iris's property, I'll never forget, on Cocoa Lane, and on the west side of Baltimore. And I was so inspired. And I asked her, I said, well, how'd you find the property? And she gave me the wholesaler that she found the property from. And then maybe about a month later, I had a contract from the same wholesaler. So I joined the list that day. So I had a contract in the house about a month later, and then we closed about maybe a month after that. And then I just kept buying. So I bought a couple from the auction, and then I was supposed to wholesale my latest one, but then ended up keeping it again. So I have a couple in Baltimore, and then one I just purchased in District Heights.
I got a question. What's making you keep it?
So that's a good question. So my objective when I started real estate is I wanted to build generational wealth. I wanted to be free. So working as an attorney, it's a mentally taxing profession. And then as a business owner, it's a physically taxing profession. So I knew I couldn't keep trading my time for money. That just wouldn't work for me. And so it's attractive to maybe buy it and get rid of it quickly. And that's, in some strategies, that's fine. But my strategy is generational wealth. So I don't have children yet. But I want to be able to leave something to my niece. And then in a couple of years, I want to just not do no work at home.
Danielle off of tour. She's generally touring the country as well. She's back home from tour. She'll be touring soon. So in July, she'll be going somewhere in the world.
Always sells out.
Huh?
Always sells out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm Danielle Sampson Parker. I've been in Greg's coaching program twice. The first time was 3 years ago. I didn't take it serious. I just paid my money and just kind of wasted it, but it wasn't my time. So I joined again, maybe like a year and maybe a half ago. So my background is in nursing home. I'm a director for finance. And so I still work, but it works for me within my the real estate function because I kind of know when people not going back to the house. So long story short, I got into the business. I had purchased a property. Right now I have 5 properties, but right now my goal was to do 4 properties this year, but because of the interest rates and the financing and things like that, I haven't done that. But right now my thing is wholesaling. So next week will be my 7th wholesale deal within the last year. So that works for me. But like for Jay buys a lot of property. I need to buy them, but I don't buy them every month like she does.
Okay, can we
So
not wrap
I'm
this
just saying, my strategy is to buy like every 3 months so I can be able to turn it around and then buy another one. So I want my money to work for me. So holding a property is a good idea. It's just a strategy for me how to do it. So, 5 years from now, I have all my properties working for me, so I don't have to work for it. But I still enjoy what I do within being a director of finance.
And Dana, you're not on tour, right?
You know, I'm a homebody. I'm always here. So my name is Dana Lewis. I've been with Greg's Platinum Group for about 2 years, a little over 2 years. And I started off, Jay mentioned the shadow events. We were at a shadow event and he took us to a property that was being sold by auction. So I told Greg I was going to bid on that bid. I won the bid. I was surprised. I didn't think I was going to win the bid, but I was just trying to be active and get a start. And I won the bid. And since then, so what I do is I wholesale to get the finances up. And you asked about why keep it. The ultimate is to hold it. That's the ultimate. You know, that one time flip, that money, whatever I do with that money, whether I
Yeah.
spend it or, but that continuous gift that keeps on giving is the goal. So, so what I do is I wholesale, get enough money, then I purchase to hold. And to do the rent, have enough money to renovate and everything I need to do. So right now I have 4 rentals homes that I'm bringing, and have done a few wholesale deals to acquire the money to do these. So right now I'm in the process of getting one ready for rent now. I promised my agent that I'll have it ready by the 15th, so I'm on crunch time. So yeah, that's pretty much my story.
And so they're all are part of our Platinum Coaching Program. This is Keith. I want you to stand up for a second. Keith Bennett, same last name. And so he runs our Platinum Coaching Program. You want to say a few words about our coaching program?
Just that, we feel like we have a really good program. We see the results. And if you're willing to roll up your sleeves and put the work in, you're going to be successful, even more successful than you already are now. And so we do deep dives into wholesaling, flipping, creatively financing properties, holding properties. That's the name of the game. So, it's May right now. And so we're at the midway point of the year, nearly. Let's finish the year strong and consider getting in a program where we're going to hold your hand. There's accountability pieces that we have to our group as well, as far as a software. We have an accountability partnership where you're partnered with another person that has the same goals as you. So we've got it all. And so I'll be around if you have questions about our Platinum Coaching. I can also set up a free consultation with you. We are running a Mother's Day special. I gotta throw that in. I gotta plug that in.
Happy Mother's Day to the mothers, by the way.
Yeah. So you'll see in our program, it's listed at $3,500 for the 6 months, but we reduced it to $2,500. Whether you're a mother or not, male or female. But I'll be around if you guys have questions about maybe I can give you a little bit more detail as to what exactly it is that we have that you could benefit from.
All right, so does everybody have a handout?
Can I add one thing to it?
Go ahead.
One last thing is that, speaking of what Keith just mentioned, I tried this many, many years ago, fell flat on my face, tried real estate investing. The reason that I am in the position I am now is because it's Platinum Coaching. I wouldn't have been. I tried it before, and it just didn't work out. The coaching, the grabbing by the hand, the Keith being my coach has allowed me to position myself where I am now. I still got a long ways to go, but in 2 years, I've done pretty good 2 years, and it's because of this program.
All right, well, thank you guys for all the plugs. I got a cookie over there for you.
Get one on break.
And so let's go through the handout. Number one is adopt an entrepreneurial mindset. And I think all of us up here have done that. And so the way to greatness, the way to financial freedom is through, I believe, entrepreneurship, where you're allowing your money to work for you. You're not just working for your money. And so you do have to adopt an entrepreneurial mindset. And so I've had that mindset, like honestly, all my adult life, where I want like residual income. And so the more residual income I have coming into my life, the better off I am. The closer I am to retirement, I can retire financially free. And that's the goal for all of us. And that's part of the goal for you, but you've got to know that this is a business. And if you run it like a business, you can make a lot of money. And so starting off with, in any business, you've got to ask yourself, why do you want to be in business? What's your motivation to be in business? And what are your goals? Like, we've got to have goals. My goal for a long time was $100,000 a month in passive income, residual income, every single month for the rest of my life. That's been my goal. Before the recession, I was like there. Then the recession hit. I had about 13 properties, and then a lot of them, most of them, I had to sell off. And then with the businesses I have, I'm there. And so I just keep going. Part of my why is I have one daughter, and daddies and their daughters. You want to spoil your daughter, but you want your children to have a better life than you. And so that's my why. But everybody's got a different why. The way I got my daughter through college was through wholesaling. I would earmark a wholesale deal, and that paid for that semester. And that's how she got through college. And so I've got her through college. She's on her way. She graduated from Hampton University a couple years ago. She's already bought a property. That's my why. And so you've got to figure out what your why is. Now, some of these guys have already talked about their why. Danielle, what is your why?
I like to travel.
You do like to travel.
No, in all seriously, I think during the pandemic, and being in nursing homes and things like that, it just was kind of like a aha moment for me. Like, people don't really care. You had a lot of people, a lot of deaths, and it was just an eerie feeling for me. And so I think that for that very reason, I was like, okay, I can't do this forever, and I didn't want to be inside of the building. So it was, it just shook something up in me, and then my whole mindset changed. And I make good money there, but I just wanted to be free to do whatever I wanted to do, because if I left there, I was like, what else would I do? And so I kind of gravitated to this, and I'm able to do whatever I want to do. If I decide to leave, I'm still fine. So I think it's just more be financially free and be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it.
Dana, what's your big why? What are some of your goals?
Well, I have 4 sons, and they're grown, but I just want them to be in a good position in life. It's kind of rough, life, this economy is just so uncertain. We don't know what's coming around the corner, and then, in their lives, it's going to be a lot to deal with. So I want to, one, position them, and they can probably take care of their kids and do the right thing. And I'm not just passing things off to them. I'm teaching. They have to pay attention. Greg got on there. He didn't really see it that way, but I told him it's a must that they pay attention to what I'm doing, because you all are going to benefit from this. You all need to know this. I'm not going to do all this just for you to spill my work all over the ground. So it's that, and then I want to retire. I want to enjoy life. 62 now, and I don't want to work myself into a wheelchair. So that's a big part of it as well.
And so I will tell you guys, and you guys are here, and this is a real estate investing. Can you just put your phone over there? Jay, can Jay hold your phone? This is a real estate investing lunch and learn. So you guys are here to learn about real estate investing. If you guys are serious about investing, I will tell you that if you don't have a why, if you don't have something that's going to motivate you, if you don't have big goals that you want to get out of this, you're not going to be successful. Because like anything else, this looks easy. We make this look easy. Don't we look good up here? But this is not easy, you guys. It's filled with ups and downs, sometimes more downs than ups. It's sales. And so you're going to fail more times than you're going to succeed. And you've got to have the wherewithal to persevere. And you've got to have a big why and know what's motivating you. If you've got children that's going through college, that's the motivating factor. I got to get them through. And I don't want my daughter getting out of college plagued with, these big student loans. And so I made it a point. I had a big why to get up early every morning and get these wholesale deals in, because the next semester was coming. And I had to make sure that I'm paying cash for that stuff. Because I didn't want her to come out and just be riddled with all these student loans. I got some friends now that are my age and they're still paying off student loans. And I just didn't want that for my child. And so that was motivating. What's motivating for you? And what are your goals? Anybody want to share? What is your motivation? Go ahead.
Well, for me, my motivation is independence and stop depending on jobs. Like I just got laid off like a week and a half ago from my job, and then a year ago, next month, I got laid off another job. So investing yourself and all of your time in these jobs and somebody else's business, making them rich, I'm tired of that.
And so that's what entrepreneurship is all about, is working for yourself. And so, so this real estate investing is great. There's a gentleman down there, Donald, he's with the financial services company. He could also talk to you about financial services.
Okay.
And both selling,
I'll be down there.
both selling financial services and we'll talk a little bit about the products and stuff. But yeah, he can talk to you about that. Anybody else want to share your motivation? Go ahead.
To leave behind a legacy.
Absolutely.
For just your future descendants.
And so I think that's important, but I think Dana said it. And so we want to leave behind a legacy, but the legacy's got to be more than just money. Because here's what happens. We build a fortune, we build a legacy, it only lasts on average 2 or 3 generations. And so the question is, how can you make it last longer? The answer is education. You can't, Dana said it perfectly, you can't just like leave houses and leave money and things like that. You've got to educate each generation. And then that generation has got to educate, the next generation. And so that's what we've got to do. Okay, anybody else? Go ahead.
I want to homeschool my 4 children and live off the grid to make my money making money.
Okay, so that's what we're all about. Now, when you live off the grid, what does that mean? You're not paying taxes and stuff? Nobody, the government don't know who you are?
I want to, if the system crashes, I don't want to be dependent on anybody for my food, water, or electricity. So I want to set that system.
Okay. All right, you're going to live off the fat of the land. All right, number 2, let's educate ourselves, get coaching and mentoring. These guys have already talked about this. But a couple things that come to mind. Number 1, we talked about setting goals as far as being in real estate. Your goal has to be so big that you can't achieve it yourself. If you can achieve your goal by yourself, then it's not big enough. You need a whole team, mentors, coaches, in order for you to achieve that big goal that you set for yourself. I talked about $100,000 a month in passive income for myself. I can't do that by myself. And so I've got businesses, I've got investments, I've got those things and people working the businesses. I'm here. I've got insurance agents out working, real estate agents out working. I got a support staff at my office. I've got real estate. I've got properties that tenants are paying. And so you've got to set a big goal, and then you've got to educate yourself and get coaching and mentoring in order to achieve those big goals. And so these guys kind of already talked about that, getting the coaching. Danielle, she failed too. She failed miserably. I like that. But then she got herself together and joined again, and it's made a whole. So why did you decide to come back?
Well, first of all, let me tell you, when I initially joined, I have 3 boys, and so there's teenagers, a lot going on, and so as women, as we always do for everybody else, and so all my time and energy was into somebody else. And so it just wasn't my time. So again, when the pandemic hit, I bought a property, and I'm an agent too with Greg. And I think I was on like the Monday night calls And I just kind of like started tapping in. It was more of a mindset thing. It wasn't, I just woke up one day and was like, okay, and I started reading Lisa Nichols again. So just the books that I started reading, and I was more engaged and I was tapping in and I was consistent. And so then I was like, okay, well, and then I had a few female friends that's okay, well, we was getting back into an investment group. And it just kind of clicked, and that's what happened. It was more of a mindset, and it was just the timing for me.
And then what about you, Jay?
What was the question?
Coaching, the importance of the coaching, because I feel like coaching is kind of going to help you minimize your mistakes and get you to your goals a lot faster.
So I think when I was actually thinking about the topic, I separate coaching and mentorship. And this is why I think this program is valuable in that it intersects both. I think coaching is what I was looking for. So I had mentors that were, they look like me, Black woman, owns so many properties on uptown, but I wasn't being coached. I would have to come to her with the problem. And I didn't even know where to start. So I would come to her for her to evaluate a deal, and she would make the time, but that's it. I wanted somebody to say, this is how you generate leads. This is how you market. This is how you scale. Like, that's what I found in this program. We talk a lot about Greg, but I wanted to actually highlight how valuable Keith is in terms of holding you accountable, so it's everybody, it works all in concert. But a mentor is also important too, right? You need people who, like Greg has, hey Jay, I think you need to be doing this, or focus on this, or I see this for you. People who see more for you than you see for yourself. So this program kind of blended the two. I would also like to add that in addition to having Keith, in addition to having Greg, I also have my peers, and they're my mentors and my coaches too, because they're going through it with me, alongside me. Sometimes when can I be truthful? Okay, so sometimes when I call Greg and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Don't be truthful.
I call Greg and I'm like, I'm so cash poor. Like, oh my goodness, I bought this property. He's like, yeah, they demoed a little bit more on one of my properties too, so I'm feeling the pinch. And I'd be like, no, you're not. My cash poor is not your cash poor. Like, you're lying right now. I said it in my head and I hang up like, I'm just gonna talk to God about my problem. But I can call one of them and they really actually feel my issue. My cash poor is not.
She is keeping it too real.
But okay, I say all that to say is that equally as important as having them is having my peers. I couldn't have achieved what I've achieved without them.
So within our program, we have accountability partners, but they just network. So we have lots of events that they can get to know each other and network, do deals together, and so all of those things. So that's what's so good about coaching, mentorship, and just getting the leadership and having resources that's going to help you achieve your goals. And the biggest thing about that is, as I said, there's lots of ways that we can make mistakes in real estate investing. It's not an exact science. And so you want to learn off the mistakes that I've made, mistakes that other people have made, and then get to your goals a lot faster. You can do that. There is a cost to our coaching program. We want to make sure that our coaching program is affordable. We feel as though it's more than affordable compared to a lot of the other programs out here. And we make it affordable because we know that you need it, but more importantly, you need that education. You need the resources, and there's not a lot of people that are giving these type of resources and education that look like us. And so we wanted to make sure that we kept our program affordable. So let's talk about strategies and the different types of strategies. The young lady, what's your name?
Datees.
Datees. Mm-hmm. And so Datees asked Jay, why was she holding on to the properties? And so I want to ask you a question. Why did you ask her that?
I just wanted to know what made her, what was the feeling that came to her that compels her to hold on to the properties versus flipping them.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to know that inner feeling, because you have your intuition about things.
Okay. And so when we talk about the real estate investment strategies, there's two strategies. there's a buy for cash strategy where we're doing an investment and we're getting cash back almost immediately within 3 weeks with wholesaling, 6 months to a year with flipping a property. That's buy for cash. We're going to invest in real estate and we're going to get cash back almost immediately. The downside to that is it's not residual income. It's not passive income. It's what we call active income. You do one act one time and you get paid that one time. That's active income. It's like working a 9-to-5 job. You do work and you get paid every 2 weeks. Now, of the cash strategies, flipping properties, you'll make the most money, but it's higher risk. The other strategy is your buy and hold strategy. You're investing for cash flow, equity, and appreciation. That's the strategy that I want you guys to have. That's passive income. Well, we're going to invest in a residential property. We're going to invest in a multifamily property. We're going to invest in assisted living, Airbnb. We're going to invest in those things. And we're going to get money back if we take care of that property for the rest of our lives passively, for the rest of our children's lives passively, and the rest of our children's lives. And so for us to build wealth, the way we build wealth is the buy and hold strategy. Now, we need money in order to buy and hold, right? Mm-hmm. And so sometimes we need cash, right? Mm-hmm. Can I get an amen somewhere? Amen. Okay. There you go. And so we use both strategies together. Like Dana said it earlier. I don't know if you guys caught it, but he says he wholesales real estate for cash, and then he takes that cash, that short-term cash, to buy and hold for long-term gain. And so that's what we've got to do in the strategy. So you've got to start thinking about what are the strategies for you? What best suits you? Now within buy and hold, we have within my real estate company and our platinum coaching students, it kind of runs the gamut. We have people who are doing Airbnb, assisted living, multifamily. Most are doing residential. Those are all buy and hold strategies. That's how you're going to build wealth. We get caught up maybe because of HGTV, flipping properties. But flipping properties is high risk. I'm not saying don't do it. I've done it on my whole career. Really don't do it anymore, but it's high risk. You'll make, I think on average now, probably flippers make about 100 grand on average now. Wholesalers are making around 20,000 more. Danielle's making more. I said on average, and that's great money, but you make 10 times more money, 100 times more money, the longer you hold on to that asset. I think about in my own career, the property, especially in DC, that I either flipped or wholesaled. And I started thinking about, wow, what would those properties be worth today?
Yeah.
And I'm like, my goodness. And so that's ultimately my advice to you, my advice to a crowd of, especially people of color, is the way to build wealth is to buy and hold. Sometimes we got to get there using other strategies, but we've got to buy and hold. Now, all of you guys, I would think from what I know about you guys, they all buy and hold. And why? Now, so you bought the property in Baltimore. You were going to turn that into an Airbnb, but did you put nurses in there?
Yeah, so I bought a property. It is an Airbnb, but what ended up happening was Baltimore County, just Airbnb. It's just a whole lot of things. So do your research before you decide you're going to do an Airbnb. So it just happened that I put the Airbnb on. It's called Furniture Finders, and they it's nursing. It's short-term rentals between 3 and 6 months or whatever. Anyways, I have nursing people in there now, and doctors, and so, it just kind of works for the moment. So I haven't had the opportunity to really do the Airbnb because it's always full with, the nursing, so, and it works.
Dana, you believe in, the veterans program?
From a tenant
From-
perspective.
Yeah, from a buy and hold perspective.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, and it's not only the veterans program, there are programs out that you can rent your property to. But your property is not, a family's not moved in your home and this is the thing that I tell Greg that makes me comfortable. And this is what I think. If a family's not moving in and taking over your property, I feel like my property's been taken over. I also have a plumbing and HVAC business. So when I go on, many of my clients are landlords, investors, and they have tenants. The tenants think that that's their house. Greg likes it, and that can be a positive thing, but if they're not taking care of your house, it doesn't matter. But I like the fact that these people in this program, they're renting a room, and they understand that. So when something's not going right, for one, it's very easy to get them out. And two, I can I can leave right now and go to my property. I don't have to let anybody know. I can just open the door and come in and make a repair or do it. I like that. I do my own maintenance, my own repairs. So I really like that. So these programs, battery-wise, veterans, there's many programs, addiction programs that you can rent to, and the rent amount is much more than the market rent. So, and I like that part too. So that's why I'm kind of, right now, that's just my sweet spot, and that's what I'm kind of enjoying right now. That could change at some point, but right now I'm kind of enjoying it.
So you get about, is it $950 a room?
Yes, depending on the size of the room. If it has a bathroom in the bedroom, then it's going to be more. So it depends on the room, but yeah, on the average, at least now.
So you've rented out to veterans?
Yeah, and battered wives.
Okay.
And addiction program.
And so he believes in the programs. I personally believe in the in voucher holders, Section 8. I get less money than he does, but I have minimal turnover. And so he has more turnover, which means that he's going to disagree. We've battled this for about a year now. He's waiting for me. Look at him. He's waiting for me. So he has more turnover. The thing about when we're holding properties, here's what kills you. Here's what kills your cash flow. Turnover kills. You want that tenant to stay in that property as long as you can. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I know some people who've had their tenants, or really it's the government paying off their properties. And so that's what I want. I want long-term tenants. I want minimal turnover, minimal maintenance. I want to look into my account every month, first of the month, and know that money is in there. And so that's my preference, voucher holders. And so I think almost every one of my properties is Section 8. So I believe in Section 8. Dana believes in the programs. I just don't, as busy as I am, I just don't have time for the turnover and the maintenance. Now he's getting ready to say, well, the turnover is not that bad, that he's in the it's easier when you're in an argument to put out their argument before they do. And then you're winning. Was that what you're gonna say?
This is your show, so I'm gonna let you.
What do you believe in, Jay?
I'm pretty flexible in my methods. So I primarily invest in Baltimore City. And the good thing I like about Baltimore City is that you can have a multitude of different things. So traveling nurses is good because of the number of hospitals. Some people do rooming homes, super popular in DC. I'm sorry, in Baltimore.
Traveling nurses is good everywhere.
The voucher program. So they both have it with Section 8 or affordable housing. And then they also have, like, if you wanted to rent your house to a veteran, it's the same sort of thing. You can rent your houses to rooms with veterans through nonprofits. So I'm flexible. I typically like either, so my District Heights house, I'm gonna do veterans. Strickland or Runa, I think I'm gonna do Section 8. And then Windsor, I'm not decided on. It just kind of depends on how the property is structured. So Kipling, for example, District Heights, because I can create so many bedrooms, it just makes more sense. And private entrances, 3 different full bathrooms. So it just makes sense. Strickland, I'm adding a closet to make it already has an egress window. So I'm adding a closet to make it another bedroom. It's gonna be a 3-bedroom, but it only has a full bath at the top and a half at the bottom. So more conducive to maybe a family versus 3 different men who have to maybe, you know what I mean, travel to shower. So I just kind of think about how the house is structured and kind of decide.
Donald.
Yeah, good morning. I just wanted to share my testimony of Section 8 voucher. My mother and father had a house, they passed away, left it to me and my sister and brother. And so we decided we was gonna keep this property. It's in DC, and we put it in the voucher program. And in that program, Section 8, a lot of the tenants, most of their options are apartments, you know, and a lot of them love a house. They would love to get a house. So what we did was we interviewed, we put it in their system that we had a 3-bedroom, 3-level, 1 full bath, 1 half bath row house. And in that particular part of DC, the market rent is $3,800 a month for that little 3-bedroom little row house that I grew up in, $3,800. So we know we're getting $3,800. So we found a tenant, and for 4 years she lived in the house. She kept it like it was hers. She did better than I probably would have done as far as upkeep. The only reason we lost her was because her voucher went from 3-bedroom to 2-bedroom. I hated to lose her, but it was a big difference in, I couldn't keep her. It's a big difference in price. So I told my sister, brother, we got to find another, I'm just calling her Miss Jones. We got to find us another Miss Jones. So we went back to the DC housing. We said, hey, we got a 3-bedroom available. And next thing I know, when I put my name in their system, I'm getting bombarded with calls. All of these vouchers. Hey, Mr. Williams, I want your house. I want your house. So I said, we're going to have an open house one Saturday. And I put down time slots for each person to come and tour the house. We had about 13 people come on a Saturday. And me and my sister and brother, we had a little table. And after they toured the house, hey, why do you want this house? Why are you moving from your situation? And are you on, what was it? How's your credit? Most usually the credit's not that good, but how's your references from your previous landlord? So out of that, those 13 people, we narrowed it down. We got one solid person in there that she's now taking care of the house, and she's gonna probably be forever, $3,800 every single month. Her portion of the rent is only $200 a month out of the $3,800. So the house is totally free and clear. If she doesn't make her $200 payment, we don't care. Because DC government is still coming with this year. But DC voucher programs, I can testify, can be very good. Got to make sure you get the right person in there, though. And you can do your screening. Okay. Thank you.
Could I answer real quick? So what I was just saying is that's the key, is the screening process.
Absolutely.
That's one of the mistakes I made many years ago. I had no screening process, and it caused a lot of problems. I will say that I've met Greg's tenants. I've done work in his properties, and he has great tenants. The Lord has blessed him with great tenants. I have other landlord clients who are just the opposite. They have there's some great people in the voucher program. Wonderful. I mean, spotless homes, but then you have this another group. So, but Greg has been blessed. But that screening process that Don spoke of is very, really important.
In Section 8, when I found out about my first tenant, we lived in a community. I grew up in that house. My mom lived in that house for 60 years. I told the tenants, hey, I grew up here. I know all the neighbors, right? So we got to make sure we put somebody nice in here. I found out that there's nothing but a bunch of 80 and 90-year-olds that are still in that community. I found out that my tenant, whenever she barbecued and grilled, she was cooking hot dogs and hamburgers for the neighbors, for those seniors. It put a tear in my eye. I was so happy.
You was happy to get that check from the government. Like, he was happy. All right, you guys. So on number 4, on your handout, I want you to put a circle around number 4. Because all the talking that we've done thus far and all the talking we will do, none of it really matters if you can't find deals. And so the most important part, I tell everybody, the most important part of real estate investing, and honestly, the most important part of being an entrepreneur is finding deals, finding motivated sellers. Motivated sellers is who our targeted audience is. And so one of the definitions of business is one that finds and keeps clients. And so we have to find, you've got to know, how are you going to find these motivated sellers and then keep them and then do business with them? That's the key to your success. And you've got to get good at it. And so I knew early on, I started a business when I was 19. And so I knew early on that marketing was the key. And so I said to myself many, many years ago, I'm going to be the best at finding deals as a real estate investor. So in my early 20s, I found deals. I found other deals that I couldn't, pursue because I didn't have the money. And so the deals are a piece of gold. I could wholesale those deals, joint venture with those deals, things like that. And so you have to know, how are you going to find deals? I will tell you that most of our coaching students are, they're finding deals at the auction. Is auction here? Auction's probably around here somewhere. But just write that down, auction. There's a number of different auctions that we're all buying properties from. I know Dana bought, when we had our shadow event, we showed about 3 or 4 properties, and one of the properties was an auction property. I think it was Ashland Auctions. Dana saw the property. It was in DC. Most Ashland Auctions is in Baltimore. This was in DC. Dana said, Greg, I'm going to come back on Tuesday or whatever day it was, and I'm going to bid on this property. He bid on the property and he won. It was Tuesday. And he won. We did another shadow event in the rain about 2 weeks ago. And we had our platinum coaching students out there and others. It was in Baltimore, showed 4 properties, and they were all foreclosures. And one of our coaching students said, I'm going to come back and bid on this property. They did, and they won. And then we got another case study like that as well. And so lots of them are buying properties through the auction. A lot of them are buying properties just through networking, knowing people. That's how they're finding deals. Other wholesalers doing deals together is how they're finding properties. Calling. This is one business where it's very, you can really create a very predictable investment business by cold calling. I can give you a list. I can give you a list of pre-foreclosures, absentee owners, of owners that own their properties free and clear. And then with the script, you can call or you can have a virtual assistant. We have virtual assistants out of the Philippines that are making phone calls right now as we speak. We have a dialer that dials for them. They've got a script and they're just going through our list and they're making calls. Mr. and Ms. Seller, this is Luis from Benedictine Properties. I'm calling to see if you might be interested in looking at a cash offer for your property. They're calling now. And so you can do those calls or you can get a virtual assistant to make those calls. Direct mail, postcard, direct mail to a targeted audience, absentee owners. Bandit signs, just social media, all of those ways you're finding deals. And so you've got to figure out, what can I do to find motivated sellers where I know I can be consistent at doing it? Is it driving for dollars? When I leave here, I'm going to go to a neighborhood and I'm going to drive that neighborhood. I'm going to write down addresses of houses that look to be vacant or abandoned. And then I'm going to use PropStream or Deal Machine to get the owner's name. And I'm going to call, say I'm sitting in front of your house. I'm calling to see if you might be interested in looking at a cash offer. That's driving for dollars. That's something that you guys can do. Doesn't cost anything. And then everything is a numbers game. How are you guys finding your deals?
Well, for me, most of mine are referrals. I also do auctions. So Ashland Auction, I get an email from them every day. I get a few other text messages from other investors. And then within this group, they'll email or text or say, hey, interested in this deal. I brand myself so everyone knows what I do. So, and then I also work in long-term care. So, that's another plug. So for me, it's just a matter of picking the deals that I really want.
How about you, Dana?
Auction, I start off with Ashland Auctions, and since then, it's been word of mouth because I brand myself as well. That's really important, that everybody knows what you do. My coach Keith pushes me in that direction to, Dana, you got to talk to people. Does your neighbor know, Dana, what you do? That's, does the person at the gas station, do they know what you do? So he's pushed me into that, and the rest have come by networking, word of mouth, referrals.
What about you, Jay?
I found properties on Ashland Auction, so the auctions, tax liens. I found properties. I think I found District Heights because of bandit signs. I'm not quite sure. But I'm marketed by way of bandit signs, and then there was one more I did. Oh, a wholesaler's list. So people who just wholesale, you can get on their list and you be their cash buyer.
So we all need each other. We talked about the strategies. We talked about cash buyers, people who flip properties and hold properties. We talked about wholesalers. We all need each other. The wholesalers need the cash buyers because they need to assign contracts to them. The cash buyers need the wholesalers. Wholesalers need the cash buyers. So it's sort of an ecosystem where we all kind of need each other in order to make money. And so you have to figure out what is it? I know a lot of investors that started, many, many years before me, not necessarily doing as well. Even when I was selling real estate, I was the #1 real estate agent in my office. I didn't know anything about real estate. My first year, I was #1 because I knew how to market. And that was my goal. My goal was not to learn everything there was about selling real estate, listing and selling real estate. That was not my goal. My goal was to get the most deals. And I would figure out through each deal how to sell real estate, all the laws, regulations, all that, those kinds of things. And so as a real estate investor, that's what you've got to do. You've got to put in your mind as #1, your #1 priority is finding deals. And your goal is to try to find a deal every single day. Every single day. If you ever start thinking about what should I be doing right now, the answer is always looking for deals. And at the very least, you've got to start branding yourself. I get so many deals because of social media. Social media works. Over 1 billion people are on social media as we speak right now, right at this moment. You want to make sure that they're looking at what you're putting out. And so all those things are important. Figure it out. Figure out what you need to do to find deals. Now, part of finding, go ahead.
So when he said you got to figure out how to find deals, you got to find what works for you, because you have 10 different things that you can do. And if you're doing 10 different things, none of it's going to work. But you got to find out what makes sense for you. Like for me, I used to drive for dollars and it would work. But the thing about me driving for dollars, I have all these notebooks with all these numbers and pads and stuff, and I would never go back. And I'm very busy and I travel a lot. And so that it works sometimes, but that just wasn't my niche. So you just got to find what works for you. Try all of them, but whatever works for you, then do that.
What works, the definition of that is, what can you be consistent with? You got to be consistent. And so for me in marketing, consistency, because I'm just always busy, I needed something that was automatically going to go out every month. So direct mail, I could almost set it and forget it. That's going to go out every month, direct mail. And direct mail piece to a targeted audience works. And there's a bunch of different lists and things like that to make direct mail easy. I need something that's easy, something that I know that's going out. I got mailings going out and a few other things that's just going to automatically go out without me doing much. And even setting up your cold callers, you set that up, and then every evening I get an email. You've got this appointment. So setting things up and sort of set it and forget it is what always worked for me. Now, in terms of investing, real quick, we invest in different areas, but we want to invest in areas where, number one, the end buyer, we know that end buyer is going to want to live in. We also want to invest in the right locations, which I kind of basically just said. But we want to buy houses where we can buy low and sell high, and that's older neighborhoods. I'll say 50 years or older works. Bowie, for the most part, is not an older neighborhood. It's not a good area for investing. So we need older neighborhoods. Name me some older neighborhoods, 50 to 100 years old.
Heights.
Temple
All
Hills,
heights.
Temple Hills.
District Heights, Capitol Heights.
Bradbury Heights.
Clifton.
Hills and heights.
All the hills and heights. I think 100 years ago, they said, we just gonna name everything a hill or a height.
Capitol Hill, no.
Yeah, anywhere in the
Yeah, we can
district.
find a whole
Yeah,
person.
yeah. And so cities like Baltimore and DC, 100 years old row houses, where in DC now, I'll say pick an area, Deanwood. We're buying in Deanwood for about 200, 250 and selling for about 450, 500 now. So we can buy low and sell high. It could be a house right here. Me and Dana was talking about before we started, B Street in Deanwood or Marshall Heights, where you're buying in Deanwood for about 200, 800 square foot row house. And that row house is going to sell for about 425. So we can buy low and sell high. Those are the type of neighborhoods that you guys want to focus on. And so when we talk about driving for dollars, we talk about direct mail pieces, we talk about absentee owners, we want to target those areas. Those are the areas that we want to target where you can buy low and sell high, or buy low and rent high. And so we talk about Baltimore. Baltimore is the #1 residential rental area in the United States because you can buy low there. We're buying for 50, 60, 70, maybe 80,000, but that property is going to rent for 15, 16. One just rented in Patterson Park. One of our coaching students bought on a house tour. It rented for $1,900, and it was bought for about $40,000, renting for $1,900, Section 8. And so,
I missed that one.
What?
We gotta talk.
and so Baltimore Baltimore's an old city, right? Where you got a house that needs to be fixed up here, but then this one's fixed up, and this one's worth $200,000 or $300,000 more than this one. And so those are the locations that we're looking for. Now, when we find those, and then you guys, I know both of you guys buy in Baltimore. I think Dana's a little scared to go to Baltimore. He's buying in DC and in PG County, but that's his comfort level. And so when we pick an area, where are you comfortable? Where are you going every day? What is your comfort level? Question.
And you said you're in PG County. What are the cities that you suggest?
In Prince George County?
What are your favorites?
You said where was it?
What are your favorites?
Oh, well, actually, the neighborhood I grew up in is where I'm focused. So,
Now, how many neighborhoods? How many neighborhoods did you grow up in?
as in the main neighborhood, the neighborhood, it's Capitol Heights. See Pleasant Capitol Heights. Greg has an ongoing joke about that, but there's some from everywhere. He calls me worldwide. But no, it's I have all of my except for one in Marshall Heights, DC. Then all the rest are right in that neighborhood that I grew up in. So that's my spot, and it's for me. It's been a sentimental. Lord, it's just kind of blessed me to. I asked for that. Lord, I want is where I grew up. That's what I wanted, and He gave it.
You know the neighborhood and you know the city and you know, and you feel comfortable in that particular area.
Yes, yeah, and sentimental reasons, more so. You know, I can be comfortable anywhere. It's just a matter of what's good and what's not good. So, because we do have to be able to have an eye for that. What's good? What's a good area? All areas are not good areas. All areas of Baltimore just block by block in Baltimore. So, yeah, so it's just, it's more of a sentimental reason why. And that's gonna expand at some point, but that's just where I'm at now.
All right, number 6 on here, you guys. There's a method to our madness when we're investing in real estate. The number one mistake that real estate investors make is what? Somebody tell me.
Okay, too much.
Too much.
They're buying too high. They buy the properties wrong. That's the number one mistake. And so we try to keep ourselves, I try to keep the investors away from buying the properties wrong. Oftentimes we're working hard to find a deal, and there's a lot of frustration by not finding a deal. So sometimes we settle for a bad deal. And that's what we don't want, because we settle for a bad deal, especially in this market, we're gonna lose money. More investors, especially flipping, lose money than make money when flipping properties. You can make a mistake when you buy and hold, and it gets made up for over a period of time through appreciation. But we make our money as real estate investors. We make our money going in, meaning we make our money when we buy the property right. That's where we make our money. And so you've got to buy the property right. That's the key to real estate investing, is buying the property right. The formula that we use is as one that's buying and holding or flipping 70% of the after repair value minus repair costs. That's the formula. You've got to stick to the formula. As a wholesaler, 65% of the after repair value minus repair costs. We stick to that. I would rather you lose 100 deals than to buy one and lose money. And so there's a method to it. Many of you will struggle with the formula. That's why you join a coaching program and let us vet that deal for you. Not only you'll call, I'll pull the comps, I'll say this is what you should offer. We'll even go out to the property to try to assess the repair costs. I've been out with all of these guys, primarily because I don't want them making mistakes. I don't want them losing money. And again, more people lose money than make money. And so that's why I highly advise. I had a guy that called me in after I'd been trying to get him to join the coaching program, didn't join the coaching program. He gave me a call and said, I just bought this property. I said, you bought it wrong. And he lost a lot of money. He lost 10 times more money than he would have paid for the coaching program. And so that's why you get coaching. And so that's why you stick to the numbers. And so we've got to stick to the numbers or we don't buy the property.
Do you see now that a lot of, because there are a lot of investors in this area and stuff, that a lot of these deals are getting bid way up, and it's hard to really find those opportunities, you know, as far as, you see a lot of that stuff?
I do see a lot of people buy, basically what we're talking about, they're buying the properties wrong.
Yeah.
And so I do see a lot of that. I just think it's perseverance. You just got to keep putting, as you can see, we all find properties. And so we all find the right ones for us. And so it's a numbers game. Unfortunately, we've got a number of people in here in the room, probably less than 1% will, or maybe 1% will buy anything. And that's just the hard truth. I'm just, you know, and so there are a lot of investors out here, but the ones that have the right mindset, a lot of things that we've talked about, the right mindset, you know, you guys have heard of the 80-20 rule. It's only 20%, we'll say 20% will do anything. And so we say that there's a lot of competition, but there's really not. And those properties that people are buying wrong, we don't, okay, you can have it. Okay, that's on, you can have that one. I'll wait till the next one. And so you just got to keep that mindset. But like I said earlier, if you have a strong enough motivation and a strong enough why, you'll keep going. And so you guys have to say to yourself, like when I first got into real estate, I knew about the 80-20 rule. I just simply said, I'm going to be part of that 20%. Like, let me see what the 20%ers are doing, and then I'm going to emulate that. Those people are going to be my role model, and I'm going to do those things. And that's what you guys have to say to yourself. What are the 20% doing? You guys got to take the 20% to lunch. Pick their brain. These guys love to eat. They love to eat. Take her to lunch. Now, some of them, they not going anywhere. They ain't going nowhere cheap, okay? They ain't going to McDonald's.
But could I add something to what she just said? So from that perspective, because that can play on your mind, okay, it's just too many out here. I can't, but just know those ones that are buying like that, you can't stay alive in this business buying like that. So they're gonna fall off. They're gonna get discouraged because they lost some money. And it works out.
All right, how are you gonna finance your properties? We talked earlier about creative financing, and we do need to have creative financing in this market. How are you guys financing your deals?
Well, for the most, I own most of my properties, but outright with cash. So, but for the most part, like when I get a property, I use hard money lenders. I like to use other people's money. That's what I was taught. So that's what I'm doing for the most part. I use hard money lenders.
So you'll use a hard money lender to acquire the property and then refinance out to long-term financing?
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Dana?
Yeah, hard money is good because it is someone else's money. We're not total experts on deals and properties and what's needed, and sometimes things can go wrong. If you put your money up, it's a gamble. If you put your money on the table, all your money on the table, there's a gamble. I have done that, but the hard money is a safer way to go.
Yeah, but I'll buy it, like if it's a Baltimore property that's inexpensive, like maybe between $40,000 and $80,000, I'll probably just buy it. But if it's a little bit more, then I'll do the hard money lender, and then I got to worry about rehab costs and things like that. So that's if it's more rehab costs than I had anticipated, I'll definitely use hard money.
What about you, Jay? How are you financing?
I use cash. Don't do that. Don't do it. Okay, so the reason why I use cash is because I was new. In Baltimore City, and this is something you learn in the coaching program, but you got to be careful. Not all money lenders will lend in Baltimore City. They just won't. And I was new, so I was coming out, I was a little unsure, and I had cash I could use. And I've always betted it all on me and won. But I wanted to work out the kinks with me first. But now, having had a couple of them under my belt, I'm open to money lenders and then refi out because different things can happen. So I purchased my first one. In 3 months, we were ready to refi out. So you got to know what the lender's requirements are. Some lenders will require you to hold the property for 6 months, a 6-month seasoning period. So 3 months, we were ready to refi out, but somebody retired in Baltimore City lien cert office. And so we were pushed out another 3 months. So now and then I got ambitious. So I bought like a couple, like 2 of them a month. And then it's just, so I'm all my cash is tied up in 3 different deals, and I'm just waiting on the city to provide the lien cert. So different things can go wrong. But now, having had a couple under my belt, I know a little bit about what I'm doing. I can get a better rate. I know which money lender to go to. So I'd highly recommend using someone else's money.
And then one more thing, so I know you hear us say cash, like, oh, they just got a lot of cash. But like for me, my wholesale deals, Dana wholesale deals, this is how we get cash. It's not like we just had this money laying around. We got this cash from wholesaling to purchase property. So that's like Greg said, it's a whole, it's a lot of things that you got to do to invest. It's just not just one thing.
And so with the financing, and as I said earlier, my preference would be for you guys to have a strategy of buying and holding. And so one thing that's kept a lot of people away from buying and holding is you put up, say, 20% of your money and you buy and hold a property, 20% down payment. A lot of your cash is tied up in that property. It's going to take you a couple years before you save up enough money to buy another property. The advent of the BRRRR method, BRRRR is BRRRR, has allowed an investor to buy a property, buy it right, renovate that property, rent that property out. My preference is Section 8, and then refinance that property where depending on the loan program that you use, you don't have to put any money down. And then you get all your money back. And then the last R is to rinse and repeat the process. So that's the BRRRR method. Buy the property right, renovate the property, rent the property out, refinance, and then repeat the process. Get all your money back, repeat the process. If you guys can do that, there's various ways to come up with cash you can use. And Donna will talk to you about different types of insurance policies that you can be your own banker, infinite banking. You can be your own banker and use money out of your insurance policy. You can get hard money lenders, private lenders to put up that money, and then you can get long-term financing for when you refinance. Now, you just have to make sure that you buy that property right. That's the key. The B in the BRRRR method, buying the property right, that's the key. If you can buy it right within the parameters of the formula, then you can do the BRRRR method. And if you do it right and buy that property right, you can just keep using that same money year in and year out to buy one property a year. I would want to look at the deal to make sure that you bought it right, because the key to the BRRRR method is the appraisal. It's got to appraise for, you got to be all in, all your money in at 70% of the after repair value. Because when the appraiser goes to appraise the property, the lender's going to lend you that same 70%. And so you've got to be kind of underneath that threshold so that you can refinance and get all your money back and keep going. That's the BRRRR method. That's the best way to finance buy and hold deals wherever you're in Baltimore or anywhere for buy and holds. I've got two more things to go over. Are there any questions? We're moving fast. You're not going to get everything in this lunch and learn. This is real fast. I know this is like a water hose coming at you, but just know that we do slow this down. And we've got a lot of members from our coaching program that understand that we slow this down. We actually have a mastermind coming up Thursday, where I'm going to go over the numbers in our mastermind on Thursday. We do have another shadow event next Saturday, where we're going to give you, like Dana, opportunities to look at properties, real life properties that you can buy. Renika?
My question is for you. I'm sorry, I didn't pick up on your
Beyonce.
Beyonce.
You can call me Jay. Call me Jay.
You said something about money lenders and how they're sometimes not financed in Baltimore City. Why is that?
It's just for non-Baltimore City hard money lenders, it's just risky. It's just for them, they're not familiar with Baltimore. I think before the recession, during the recession, they just got burned on deals, so they just stay out of Baltimore. Now, but it's not to say that there's not enough hard money lenders for Baltimore. There's enough. And then there's national lenders like Lima One. Like I got a deal going on right now where the cash buyer got financed through Lima One, and it's a property. Well, I've got one coming up where a property in Baltimore, and there's Dominion Financials in Baltimore, Pimlico is in Baltimore. They're all hard money lenders. So there's enough. We're just, we're kind of based here, DC, PG County. Our hard money lenders here, they just don't go to Baltimore. They're just not familiar. It's a risk for them, number one. Number two, a lot of hard money lenders, they're not going to lend lower than $100,000. And so sometimes we're all in Baltimore for less than $100,000. And so it's just too risky for them.
Thank you.
Is it possible to do the BRRRR method with multifamilies?
Absolutely. You can do the BRRRR method with anything as long as you're buying that property right. That's the key. You just got to buy it right. That's the key. All right, you got to build a team, you guys. Number 8, who's your team? You've got to build a team. I said earlier, if your goal is not big enough, if your goal is big enough, you're going to have other people that's going to have to help you. you need a team. You need lenders. We talked about lenders. You need an investor-friendly title company. If you're not a real estate agent, you need real estate agent to help you. You need a coach or a mentor. And so you've got to build out a team, and you got to start thinking about that. How do you get your team? Through referrals. People can refer you to other people. But as entrepreneurs, and we're all entrepreneurs in here, you've got to build out your team. Who is your team? You have an attorney that knows real estate investing.
Not
She says not her. And so part of your success is having that team. Who's your team? Who's going to be your accountant that knows real estate? All accountants aren't equal. And so you've got to have an accountant, CPAs. And so we do have all those things, but you've got to have a team around you like any other business owner that's going to help all aspects of your business. All the documents. And so we have an investor toolkit that we give you, especially our coaching students, all the documents that you need. We talked about subject to. And so that's a separate contract. And so you need a subject to contract. You need a purchase and sales agreement that's investor friendly. You need an assignment agreement if you're a wholesaler. You need a contract, independent contractors agreement for your contractors so they can sign an agreement. So there's lots of documentation within real estate investing that you guys need. And so you've got to get all of those things. And again, the more I talk, the more I say, wow, this is just a lot of stuff. But it is. It is. And so that's the purpose of coaching. Coaches have everything. We have what's called our, Coach Accountable. And so it's software that we give all of our coaching students. It's they get their own dashboard, but it's filled with all the documents I just mentioned. It's filled with all the marketing materials, scripts, letters. It's filled with different courses and things like that I've taught, resources, hard money lender, all the team members all in there.
There's tasks on it too.
Different tasks. What's in Coach Accountable, Keith?
You just named a lot of them. One of the things is also we have a daily productivity report. You can turn it into a weekly productivity report where you're able to put down what did you do that day, what did you do that week, and then when we have our monthly sessions, I can analyze that and provide metrics to you on what you've been doing, what's working, what's not working. Coupled with having an accountability partner or being in an accountability group, all those things will help you.
And so all those things you get as part of our coaching program. So as much as all of this, is a lot, we slow it down and we systematically have all these things for you so that you're not overwhelmed. The last thing is all that we do as real estate investors, you guys, all that we do, all the money that we make is a taxable event. And so it's taxed. And so even like a wholesaler, you make a wholesale fee, you make whatever, $20,000, even though the cash buyer may or may not give you a W-9 to sign initially, and then a 1099 at the end of the year, it's still a taxable event. You're going to get taxed on that money. And so you've got to report it. Of course, when you're flipping a property, that's a capital gain, that's taxable. There's a lot more write-offs and things like that when you're buying and holding. That's why a lot of people do buy and hold, because of the you have less tax consequence when you're buying and holding. And so it is. And so all that we do, there's a lot of money, but just know, and one of my pitfalls, to be honest with you, my whole career is taxes. And so you just be conscious and be aware and keep up with the fact that when you're making money, it's all taxable.
I have a question. In each one, people will go through the coaching program?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm still in it.
still there.
I got kicked out of it. Me too. Just kidding. No, I didn't. I'm just.
And so look, you guys, we talked about a lot of things, and that's why I want to bring kind of the fundamentals of real estate investing in the top 10 that you guys just have to know. And so reread this handout when you go home, but these are the fundamentals that you must master in order for you guys to get to where you guys want to go. Are there any questions that you guys have? Any questions?
Let me just say this, you guys have your green survey here. Fill it out, please. We're always interested to learn different content that you guys are interested in. So take time to fill it out, and I'll take it from you and then your reward is getting a sandwich. So that's the reward.
I think we got iced tea this time. Where we get iced tea from here? We got iced tea this time, you guys. What advice you got for them, Dana?
The advice I have, if you decide that this is what you want to do, is to definitely be a part of the platinum group because of I say that because of my experience of falling flat on my face, not having the right people around me, not having the right coaching, not having the right information. You don't want to go through that. And that was many, I won't say how many years. It was almost 30 years ago. So I'm saying is that
you old.
Right. Yeah, that's why I didn't want to say it, because I knew somebody would say it. I knew somebody would say something. But no, I think that's really important in your. If you want to know, you want to do it. I mean, if you don't want to do it, I mean, it's it's a waste of money. But if you want to do it, if you really want to make some money doing this, then that was my answer: is joining the group, and it's working for me.
Danielle, what advice would you give?
I guess the biggest thing will be just do it. Like I see some of you as I've seen before, and you sit here and like, okay, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna get out here and do it. You gotta be proactive. And if you just sit here and don't do nothing and you keep coming to the classes and you can come back and then next year, it's like, I'm gonna do it this year. Just be proactive. The group is very, very good. Even with Greg, I'm waiting for a call from last week too. He was supposed to call you back. I just
Get him.
Jay, what advice would you give him, Jay?
I got to back soon.
Yeah, but no, and so between Greg and Keith, you sit in his seat, but you can touch him, call him, and laugh and joke and play. But they're really, really mentors. So you can reach out to them and they'll help you. And then within the group, you have your accountability partners. I had an accountability group, but I don't use them. We create our own accountability group inside of the group. And so that worked for us because we were all striving towards the same things. You still, like you have, like Greg said, 80-20, you have a whole accountability group, but 5 people not doing anything, and it's just you. So we just matched up with people who were wanting to do things. So the group is really, really good. And if you don't do anything, don't measure yourself by what we're doing, because our journey is totally different from yours. But the bottom line is you just have to do something.
Jay, what advice would you give him?
I think I would echo the same sentiments of my colleagues. You got to take action, so you have to take the step. We already know our why, so get to your how. And for me, so I told you I find lease for tax things. So I purchased 31 properties, 2 plots of land. Some of them were jackpots, some of them were horrible investments. So I wasn't investing, I was more so gambling, and I'm not in the business of gambling. I want to invest. And so I needed a coach, and I needed a mentor, I needed a program. I needed colleagues around me who thought like I thought, who wanted generational wealth, who wanted to be free, who were gonna be generous with their resources. And that's what I found here. So I would say the same thing, get coached, get mentored, and then definitely take action.
So as Don comes up here, so Jay took the words out of my mouth. And so it's just about taking action. And you guys hear that a lot, and sometimes you don't know what that means. At the very least, set up a call with Keith. I think Keith's information should be on here somewhere. You can always go to on page, what number is that? 3? 5? On page 5, is that a 5? On page 5, right where the page number is KB's schedule. You can just go to his schedule at the least, schedule an appointment with him. He's more than happy. Stand up, Keith. He looks very intimidating, right? But he's very nice. Schedule an appointment at the very least.
I don't think my policy is gonna step in here a little bit.
Sure.
Okay, just sit down and don't just be quiet. Don't say anything. I was just joking. At the least, schedule an appointment to talk to him, because all that we just talked about is very intimidating, right? And sometimes we don't know where to get started or where to begin. And so sometimes it's just a conversation. And so schedule an appointment with him. You can call him. You can schedule an appointment with him. You can always reach me. I'm GB Schedule. You can DM me. And let's just talk about it. Maybe this is a good fit. Maybe it's not. But we want to give you the information to get started. And real estate investing is one of the best ways to build generational wealth. A lot of you guys said your why was to build generational wealth. Let's get started with it. Now, go ahead.
Financing for the coaching program?
Say it again.
Financing for the coaching program itself. I mean,
How much is it?
She wants to know if we finance.
We don't, we do, yeah, we do. We have payments. Yeah, we have payments.
I don't have the money up front.
It's already,
for the coaching
okay.
program.
And so
Financing for it.
and so on page 5, you can look to see what the, how it's broken down into the payments. And it's even better than this, because since you guys are here, instead of the $3,500, we're going to give you the Mother's Day special at $2,500. So what's that payment, Keith? Is it $497 a month?
For 6 payments, yeah.
Okay, all right. One of the things one of the takeaways I want you guys to know is, and I'll let Donald speak more about it, is there's different ways. We talked about wholesaling as one way to build up enough cash to buy and hold, which I want all of you guys to do, is to own a property. My goal for you is to own at least one property a year as a big goal, one property a year. Again, whether it's residential, some of these guys have moved up to multifamily. Some of these guys are doing Airbnb, things like that. Set a goal of one buy and hold. Now, sometimes if you have the right insurance policy, you've got cash value, or purchase the right property, you've got cash value in that policy that you can pull out tax-free, loan yourself that money, refinance like I talked to you guys about the Bird method, and then pay that money back. Now, there's new insurance. Your great-grandmother's insurance is not what the insurance is now. There's new insurance filled with what we call living benefits. And so insurance is for the living now, not for the dead, where you can take advantage of these policies while you're living. Talk a little bit about that, Donald.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Donald Williams, I'm a licensed life insurance agent over 10 years. And I want to commend you guys for coming to this event, because I have two kind of rules I follow. Number one is you only know what you know. I always say that myself. That's why I come to things like this. You only know what you know. And then I'm a copycat. Some people might not like being a copycat. I have a rule. If you're going to be a copycat, you want to copy the right cats. If you want to be a copycat, copy the right cats. These are the right cats. They're already doing it. They're doing it. Greg talked about life insurance. There are policies out here that Greg was talking about, some sort of financing to do your deals. What if you could be your own banker? What if you could go to your own policy, pull out money, take a loan out, use it for real estate investment, for your children's college education, purchasing a car, business venture, whatever. What if you could pull that money out, and then what if you decide what your terms were for paying it back? In other words, do I want to pay myself back? Or maybe I don't even want to pay the loan back. You can pull out these loans, and you can pull out loans from your policy, and you determine the payback method, or you don't have to pay it back. It's all up to you. So we got those kind of policies. these policies also have what's called living benefits. Okay, so in order to be able to pull out those loans, it's going to probably take about 5 years for the cash to accumulate to be able to do what you want to do, to be able to buy real estate investments. So let's say I'm working on this, I start this policy, but we all know that life can change in just a snap of a finger. Like, you all are healthy right now today, but you could leave out of here and something could happen, right? Like, how many people have houses with homeowners insurance, right? What about car insurance, right? What about insurance on these things here? Y'all got insurance on your phone? And you get that because if something happens, you want to what? Replace it. You want to get it right back new. So we have what's called living insurance. I got insurance, I like to say, on my income. If I walk out of here today and I'm in a major car accident and I can't go to work, I can't do nothing for the next 6 months, 9 months, a year, I know that my income will be replaced, right? Because you can have a plan A, but everybody, you should have a plan B just in case something happens. So your health is your wealth. I always tell people, while you're healthy, get a quote, find out what these things cost. Again, you only know what you know. Some of you say, well, I got life insurance, but do you know how your life insurance policy works? Does it have living benefits, right? So we love to sit down with people, do a policy review, show you what you have, what you can get. Maybe we can save you money. Doesn't cost you anything. And that's what I love about coming to events like this, learning more information. Again, you only know what you know, and be a copycat, copy the right cats. So I'll be over at that table there if anybody has any questions, want to get a free quote. Oh, I always tell people, always get quotes. I just had a fence built in my yard, and I didn't know nothing about fencing. I had about 5 different contractors come through. By the time those 5 guys came through, I was an expert on fencing, and I knew which company to go with. So if I'm gonna go with one deal, I don't know if I'm paying high or low or whatever. Always get at least three estimates on whatever you want to do. Even in this arena here with financing and all that, always do that. So anyway, I'll be over the table. Again, Donald Williams. Anybody got any questions?
Did you go with the cheapest quote?
No, I didn't always go with the cheapest quote because sometimes it's value. Sometimes somebody's doing more. You know, sometimes just like with insurance, you see those little commercials, $9.95, get your life insurance, right? That might be for just $1,000, and then you don't even know what the benefits are. So it's not necessarily the cheapest, but you want to get different estimates on whatever you do, anything, always. It's hard for me to go to the store and see a sale and just buy something. I gotta say, man, you know what? I wonder if that's a good price. I gotta go and check. I gotta go online. I gotta double check.
You're doing too much now. If it's on sale, just buy it.
But anyway, any questions, I'll be over the table. Thank you.
And one last thing, you guys, is this is Harry over here. Wave your head. Harry just came back from Cancun. Was it Cancun you were in? Aruba. Same. That's the same.
That's not the same thing.
We're having a house tour, page 4. We had a house tour a couple weeks ago. One of our coaching students came. Everybody's invited. But one of our coaching students came, like Dana, and bid on a property and won. So we're going to give you guys real live opportunities to learn, first and foremost, out in the field, but then also an opportunity to actually buy a property. And so this tour is going to be in PG County. They're all going to be foreclosures. We're going to start out next Saturday at 10 o'clock, and we're going to look at about 4 properties. We're going to convene after that at a restaurant and have a networking session. And so we'll have a luncheon right after and talk about the day, network with each other. You can go to Harry. What is it? $197, Harry?
Yeah.
$197, and it's just well worth it. We learn in class like we're doing now, but then we also have to learn out in the field. Now, if you join our coaching program, you talk to Keith, you see value in our coaching program, the house tour comes free. And so you can pay the $197 if you like, or with the coaching program, our house tour will be free. These guys, Are you guys coming? Actually, we might go over to Dana's house, just to see what he's up to. Is that cool?
I wanna buy something.
Okay, well, come then. All right, you guys, question?
I'll go last. I can't make my comments.
How often does the class meet, the program?
So good question. So the question is, how often does our program meet? And so every week on Tuesdays, we have a Q&A. At night. Thursday, once a month, we have a mastermind, which is this Thursday. We have a mastermind. We go out once a month, also the shadow event, free for our coaching students. We do one-on-ones. We say once a month, but it's really unlimited. My coaching students, they find a deal, they call. We do numbers. Sometimes we go out in the field. And so it's very comprehensive. We try to support everyone and make sure that they're all successful.
What's the time?
Thursday night call sessions as well.
Yeah, Keith does every Thursday night, he does a call session. It's at 8 o'clock on Tuesdays, but it's recorded. It's on my YouTube channel. So for our coaching students, it's a private, YouTube that you can go to YouTube and get it. Okay. Question?
Yeah, I was just listening to, you said different ways to go about purchasing property. I came to get some information. I mean, I'm an investor as well. How you doing? My name is Walter Cook. I have over 10 rental properties, 2 apartment buildings, building 1 as we speak. Another way to obtain properties through tax liens. I don't know if I discussed that already.
A little bit.
Go to Baltimore City. I know a lot of people up here don't like to go to Baltimore. There's a program called the CORE program. Write that down. CORE. They've been investing I went to the meeting, I was the only person of color in that meeting. They're investing $2 billion into Baltimore City. You might want to invest in Baltimore right now. They've been doing it since 2016. Everything I'm saying, you can look up on our Baltimore City website to fact check it. They've been dumping this money slowly into the city. I know there's a thing called payola, where you pay the media to say what you want them to say, and they will spew and say bad things about Baltimore City. And what they do is they get people of color to walk away